The cultural phenomenon The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is back with an all-new season coming to Hulu May 15th.
Where is everyone at? Mom Talk has gotten to a really hostile point.
Demi's willing to kick Jesse out of the group.
I feel like I'm walking into a lion's den.
It's gonna get messy, for sure.
Mom Talk is turning on each other left and right.
The police are here. I can't see this going any other way but a pure bloodbath.
This is so toxic.
The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, streaming on Hulu May 15th.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the So Bros Network proudly brings to you some in-depth movie discussion with our resident film critic, Brandon Vick.
Happy evening, everyone. The Vick's Flicks podcast is here.
Welcome to a good old busty bonus Vick's Flicks podcast on this beautiful, rainy, gorgeous, cold Wednesday morning. I am your host, the Beast from the East, Brandon Vick, member of the Southeastern Film Critics Association and a board member of the Music City Film Critics Association and the resident film critic of Nashville Movie Dispatch. I can never really get used to that intro because it sounds like sort of like Bray Wyatt and a 13-year-old girl. But anyway, I sent out a tweet a couple days ago saying that this episode was coming and that we were going to have a couple of special guests. So let me get to them. They are our good pals, Danger Zone's own, Brittany and Jesse. If we're talking horror, I always try to invite them. One day we will cover different genres, probably some of the comedy classics like Amistad and Passion of the Christ. But today we're talking about a goofy fucking horror movie. But Brittany, Jesse, how we doing?
Doing pretty good.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers to the wine and the Pepsi Zero sugar.
Feeling like a clown in a cornfield, you know?
This cupcake wine's pretty
Amen to that. Amen to that. So, how's Danger Zone? As people know, I have an invested interest in it and have for years.
Our number one investor.
Number one.
Investors, possibly you.
Yep.
It's great. It's been, after Full Moon Tattoo and Horror Fest weekend, it's been insane.
So when I visited there before all that, it was like a week or so before, you were like, yeah, we're going to Full Moon. And I'm like, oh, what's playing there? You're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what movies are there? I don't know. And then I swear to God, 2 days later, I realized it was the tattoo. And I'm like, I think this is one of their biggest events of the year. I know Halloween. I'm one of the general ones. Like, I really like to try and go in October. But I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a horror movie there. I've seen Ed Wood there.
That's it, right?
That's it. My wife and I went to see it because I had never seen it. And I was like, oh, well, this is cool because it's something that's different. And, you know, my taste in horror is really snobby. So sometimes I'm like, well, why don't I go, oh, okay, cool. I haven't seen it. And it's what, $7 or $8 or something?
It's insanely
It's dirt.
cheap.
Yeah, it's dirt cheap. They have couches there.
Mm-hmm.
And
don't get me started on those. Right
yeah,
now.
I know. Well, my wife and I laid in the dog bed that they had. So that was nice. But yeah, I recently got specially ordered the Blu-ray Michael Clayton.
It's true.
At a great price, and I greatly appreciate it.
Anytime.
Probably not hardly anybody. Britt, do you even know what that is?
No.
Okay, it's a George Clooney movie.
Oh, okay. Who?
What? How dare you? Cut the mic off.
Episode over.
I told Jesse it's one of his, if not his finest performance, and it's got Tilda Swinton won an Oscar for it for supporting actress. Tom Wilkinson's in it. Clooney did get nominated. It's really good. You should check it.
Never heard of it.
You should. I don't know if Jesse had either.
Nope.
When I said it, yeah. But when I said, well, do you have Gunzo Gus Blood Fart too?
Just walked out the door, man.
Got you on that one.
Just got that special steel disc in.
I got Hundreds of Beavers.
I know. I love the case for that Hundreds of Beavers movie.
So, Canopy, if you have a library card, has Hundreds of Beavers streaming right now.
Mm-hmm.
You told me they have a lot of They have a lot of stuff. You said Canopy and
Hoopla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Canopy, I've watched a couple things on.
Yeah. We still haven't watched Hundreds of Beavers, so I put it on the list.
Oh my gosh, it's so absurd, but it's so well done and it's so funny. I don't know if I've ever seen a movie that's combined so many different elements of comedy from like almost every like generation, that whether it's slapstick or sophisticated or I was really impressed.
Okay.
Didn't we watch Kim's video on Canopy or Hoopla?
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was one I told. It was I think it was one of the film festivals a couple years ago. I'm guessing maybe Nashville, maybe Chattanooga. I don't know, but I wanted to see it. But I've heard like mixed stuff where it's like it's interesting, but it shouldn't be like a full documentary.
I would say it went a little long, but the story is kind of insane.
Yeah.
So you have no idea what's actually going to happen.
Do you know like any of the story?
Yeah, I actually read about it. Well, when I was trying to see it, I actually did read the synopsis, and then I had read a little more, but then wasn't able to get it because of the times in film festivals are crazy. So I do know the story, but I'd never watched the documentary, and I still want to.
It does.
But
if
it's on Canopy, then I want to.
It does a good job of telling the story in I feel like a pretty interesting way.
Okay.
Yeah, it runs a little.
All right. Yeah. See, I feel like that was kind of the consensus of it. It kind of loses its way.
Yeah.
Once it's kind of hooks you in. Well, today we're talking about. I'm glad we had fun talking about that because the fun dies right here. It's actually not awful, but Clown in a Cornfield. It's called Clown in a Cornfield. It is. It's directed by Eli Craig. He did Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which is a comedy classic, cult classic. But let me get to the synopsis first in case people aren't aware of it, because it's also a best-selling book, which I had no idea.
I didn't know it was a bestseller.
I had no idea. So this is per Rotten Tomatoes. Quinn and her father have just moved to the quiet town of Kettle Springs, hoping for a fresh start. Instead, she discovers a fractured community that has fallen on hard times after the treasured Bay Pen corn syrup factory burned down. As the locals bicker amongst themselves and tensions boil over, a sinister, grinning figure emerges from the cornfields to cleanse the town of its burdens, one bloody victim at a time. Welcome to Kettle Springs. The real fun starts when Friendo the Clown comes out to play. So before I go any further, this is your warning. This is going to be full of spoilers. I don't really think holding back on a movie like this is worth it. So I feel like we should just dive in. So if you want to see it and haven't, hit pause now, come back afterwards. If you don't give a shit like Stoney, then just listen to it now, and then maybe you'll go see it anyway. So I found this. So I got an email from the film company that was, because this is basically a Shudder and a, is it RJD something? They had bought it, and it's all under kind of the IFC company now. But they were doing, so this clown is saying goodbye to the cornfield and coming to a city near you. Ahead of its theatrical release on May 9th, Friendo the Clown will be, is bringing his humor to cities around the country. From April 28th through May 10th, Friendo will be hauling a semi-truck around the U.S. with pit stops at local landmarks, special screenings, and clown-themed events nationwide. They said the sick, twisted friends of Friendo can track his progress on social media, which was at Shudder and at Clown in a Cornfield. And then it says anyone foolish enough to hunt down and pose for a picture with the truck or one of the "Don't Fuck with Friendo" posters can tag their pictures at hashtag I found Friendo for a chance to win a prize pack. And so anyway, I'll be honest, I thought this was actually quite clever to try and do. I think this is the kind of movie that you would do this for. It went to Atlanta, Dallas, Roswell, New Mexico, the Grand Canyon, Vegas, LA, and Denver, Kansas City, and it was here in Nashville Saturday, but the location was never provided. So I don't know if this was just like it came around town. I don't think it stopped anywhere.
I was going to ask you what the landmark would be like. Very
I don't
interested.
know. The Ryman?
The Parthenon, maybe.
Yeah, maybe the Parthenon.
Hot chicken.
Yeah, or
a place
yeah,
to park a giant semi.
over Culver's out in Lebanon.
There you go.
Maybe.
Everybody knows that Culver's.
I will tell you it was now they're only open on weekends right now, but this past weekend Stardust Drive-In had this as their second movie.
That's cool.
And I thought that's probably like even if you still didn't like this movie, that atmosphere is that I feel like that's what this is for. So I wanted to give a shout out because I really do think like even just this kind of like slasher horror stuff, but the drive-in was cool. And I think the movie before it was Fight or Flight, which is basically a bullet train on a plane that has Josh Hartnett in it. It's not bad.
That sounds fun.
And listen to this. All their little PR stunts apparently paid off because I got a press release today and it had become, let me see, this is from IFC Entertainment Group, RLJE Films and Shudder. It says, has its biggest opening weekend ever with Clown in a Cornfield. It opened 5th overall with $3.6 million. It said that its opening weekend broke records for IFC Entertainment Group, surpassing its 2024 success of, I actually did like this one, Late Night with the Devil's box office opening of $2.8 million, and everyone's favorite, In a Violent Nature's theatrical opening of over 1,400 theaters last year. It was the highest grosser to date, and it opened in over 2,200 screens. Wow. So, hey, listen, you know what? Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them. And I wish I would have known like where it would have stopped because I felt like I honestly thought something like Belcourt or something like it would be kind of cool. I don't think they showed it, but then I'm like, and maybe they did stop at one of the drive-ins. I have no idea, but I feel like that's like that's what you need.
I need to know.
Do.
Yeah.
Also, like I had no idea until you told us the other night that they were doing this press release. I don't spend a whole bunch of time on social media, but that wasn't like something that was like popping up.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, if you went on social media and actually did like Friendo, whatever, like it showed people and it like I saw like a video of that semi truck coming through, but then I'm like, but I don't know like if it stopped at every city. I will say I only have the cities in here, but on a lot of these it did have where it did stop at a theater or it did stop at like a park or pavilion. Like it did but now Nashville was never. It was like to be decided and followed, and I never found out what it was. After I watched the movie, I didn't care. So, so before we kind of get into our thoughts and everything else, and I have a thing I want to share about the director as far as what he wanted to do with this and try to avoid some other stuff. Friendo the Clown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clowns, I feel like, are always sort of there in horror. Sometimes maybe they're not in the spotlight, but I know like we talked about like Pennywise and Terrifier, Art the Clown. What just in general what is it about clowns?
I think it's their unpredictability, their I don't know, willingness to just fuck with people, you know? I
with
feel
a smile on their face?
Yeah, you know, just kind of just like spitting in your face while they're doing whatever type stuff. And I feel like that it like there's such a phobia around clowns. It's just easy to cash in on.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think like John Wayne Gacy, like probably one
Oh.
of the main origins of like the fear of clowns, and
That's true.
I'm sure
Doink the Clown.
Evil
He got
Doink.
pretty evil.
Evil Doink.
He got pretty evil.
When I think of clowns in horror movies, though, I just like clearly a big Terrifier guy, but I just think of Killer Clowns, though. That's like the the end all be all in my mind.
I think of it.
Okay.
I do, and I'll be honest with you. I sometimes it's the new one, and sometimes it's Tim Curry. I just think of Pennywise as kind of the first real clown horror that I like that was creepy to me.
Yeah.
And not even with it, not everything is creepy to a sense. And even like with Art the Clown, which shout out to, because the last time you did this, we did a whole thing on Terrifier, which was a lot of fun. But I like the drain. Like it's almost like when they only show you a little, and then once we kind of start getting into whatever mythic thing and art is kind of getting there now,
because there's always a supernatural
right
type of element.
Yeah, and the part 2 and it is that's not scary to me. Of course, these days it's my taxes, am I right? But I did like that first part, and same thing for it part 1, the movie. Like that is creepier to me than part 2.
Okay.
I like. And sometimes I think is that you combine that with the innocence of kids on what they think clowns are, and kind of how it's kind of been presented in this genre. But would you say, what about you, Brittany? What about with clowns? He says killer. I say it.
Well, the most recent clown movie that actually was terrifying to me was Hell House LLC, the last one that came out. Did you watch that one?
Is that a Shudder?
It was on Shudder.
I think I did watch it.
I can't remember.
Is it a found footage one? Am I thinking?
Yeah.
Is it?
Found
Okay.
footage, and it had the clowns.
Okay. Yes.
Dressed
Yes.
in those white.
A year or two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did see it because I think it was a lot of word of mouth. Like I had actually heard and read quite a bit of stuff about it. I'll be honest, I kind of do remember a scene with the clown, but
they were in the house, they were like statues. And
then
they ended up outside in the woods.
Yes, I'm with you. Yeah.
But that was like the most recent where I was like, okay, we watch a lot of horror, so like it's hard for things to scare me. It's hard for things to make me uncomfortable. But that movie, I was like, this is it. Like, this setup here and these freaking clowns, this is terrifying.
And you know what I was thinking, just to your point, I feel like this genre is perhaps the only one, to me, I guess, that it really takes a lot to impress someone these days. Like, whether it's scary or it's violent or it's gruesome or it's a different idea, or if you're going to do a clown, then what's the difference? Because everything is kind of compared to what, whether it was Craven or Carpenter, these guys, what they were doing, or, kind of what Eli Roth kind of brought with Hostel and stuff and the Saw movies. But I was thinking, like, it's really tough, like, to really impress someone. And so I think when you hear great word of mouth about stuff, or if you're a fool like me and you just read shit on social media and you just assume the whole world must know how great this is and how funny. I have read stuff since I've seen this movie and I'm like, what were you watching?
We watch different movies apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I've had many situations like that, but this one, it's like I guess you're either in it or you're not, but there's too many things going on where I'm like, if you are fans of anything that's scary, I don't really know how you walk away and be like, damn, that was crazy.
My older brother, who's very critical about movies, he liked this.
Oh, really?
I was very shocked.
Yeah, that was not the news I was expecting to hear.
What did he get? Did he tell, like,
did
he
just
rate it on anything?
He was like, it was pretty enjoyable and good for what it was.
For what it was. You know what? Tell your brother that sometimes that's a cop. Like, yes, like you don't expect greatness from it. I think you can, but I think even going in and expecting what you like, just what you want from it, it couldn't get there.
Do you think that if we hadn't heard all the chirp and the hype about how fun and amazing this movie was, that we would have walked away feeling a little bit different, and our expectations were a little high?
I don't know if it would have changed any. I think I would have probably thought, less of, like, what the hell were you watching?
Because, like, when we watched Longlegs, like, I really did enjoy that movie, but I do feel like, and I think this is a theory that goes around in the horror community, like, I do think that movie was set up really high expectations, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's the craziest
fair.
movie ever! It's the scariest
That's
movie
fair.
that's ever like."
Yeah, well, and that's what I was grateful for because I got to see that early, and I was very grateful because you don't if you don't see it within the first 2 days, people ruin it. Like it's of any genre at this point. I know Marvel and all those are really guilty of it, but you really can't. It's like I'm watching The Last of Us right now, and like you basically have to watch it immediately, and then like it's only people talk about it, but like Entertainment Weekly, Variety, all of them, they'll start just this is the wrap up of season 2, and boy, what a shocker! And I'm like, my God, can you give me like 2 days? All right, so before we dig into the movie itself, like I said, it was directed by Eli Craig, who did Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which I think is a great horror comedy. This comes to us via Forbes. Title called Clown in a Cornfield, Director on Horror Comedy's Catchy Title and Why He Avoided the Terrifier Route. It says, of course, having a clown in a cornfield automatically makes the film creepy, especially in the wake of the It movies, Pennywise the Clown, and Art the Clown from the Terrifier movies, what we're talking about. The big difference, though, is while, yes, there's ample amounts of blood and gore in Cornfield, Eli Craig, who he also co-wrote it with, co-wrote the screen adaptation of Adam. Is it Caesar? Cesare?
I think it's Caesar or Cesar.
Caesar's book, along with Carter Blanchard. They didn't want the film to cross the line into Terrifier movie territory and having audiences vomiting in the theater. My gut is the line, and sometimes I go to the point where I feel like I'm testing my own gut, where I can't really watch something myself. Craig explained. With Terrifier 3, I had to watch the film in little segments to study it and realized, oh, wow, Damien Leone is a master. I wanted to look at how he was doing in camera special effects at the same time. I had to dissociate what I was seeing to process it. I had to think about the process of how he did stuff so I wouldn't puke. Pussy. That's not to say, it goes on to say, that's not to say Craig doesn't push the line with his blood and gore in Clown in a Cornfield. It's just that when he does, the kills are imbued with sights that can't help but make you laugh. And he says, I feel like I've hit the mark where most people are going to go, oh, and start turning away, but then I'm done. I have these moments that may be a little shocking, but there's just a touch of humor in it as well that makes it tolerable. I want to have the kills be quite real and a little bit shocking, gritty, and brutal, but also have a touch of playfulness to them. They're not brutal to the point of being sickening, though. That's the line for me. I'm not interested in making a sickening movie. I want to make a fun movie that has kills in it. So I want to have the kills to be quite real and a little bit shocking, gritty, and brutal. When was that? I can think of one.
Look, I know what I am. I've done deathmatch wrestling, watched the craziest horror movies, like around. We've watched some weird stuff, but I know this movie wasn't for me necessarily, but I don't see a single shocking thing in it.
Well, I'm going to use a word that Jesse uses sometimes. Like, he sounds like a half-stepper. Like, why don't you just do it or don't? Like, you're in this middle lane, and you could tell during the movie that it didn't really know what direction that it wanted to go in. So, go all the way or keep it a little bit reserved or more on the funny side.
Yeah, I don't know if there was anything really funny. There was there's one part where the guy gets decapitated and his head falls in the cooler.
Mm-hmm.
And then what proceeds from that is when they're at this party, and I think one of the few times you actually do see a clown in a cornfield, they come out, but at first they think the head is a prop because the group is teasing them stuff. That was funny to me, but then that was it. Like we kind of just thought, oh, okay. Like I don't really remember anything else kind of blending that comedy horror that well. Yeah. And I don't think I was talking to my buddy Sean from 615 Film, and it's like there is no balance to the two.
No.
And I don't think either one is really well done to be gritty or brutal or shocking, or right when you think people are going to be sick, he stops. Like I don't understand. That's not what I
feel like if you were going to be sick, this would probably be the first horror movie you ever saw, or you just have the tamest palate of anyone, you know, which is fine.
Which, and I've heard
if this was your introduction to anything scary, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was. Some people are making the argument like this is a great intro movie to a younger horror audience or whatever, and like totally, because the book is a young adult horror, and it's like I understand that, but that doesn't make it. That doesn't mean that it's like a whole movie that's well put together.
Yeah.
So I part of the problem is that it's quite predictable. I think it's highly familiar just in its storytelling. It's kind of the small town gets ruined by this one business that goes out. Friendo, I think, is kind of like the mascot of this corn syrup factory. The ones that they're the big reveal of who the clowns really are is, I think you can see that from a mile away, especially when it gets to the party and all the young people are there and none of the older people from the town are there until the clowns get here. So, like I said, this is full of spoilers, but it's basically the old townspeople who want to kind of keep their town the same, which they have been for generations, are basically wiping out the quote-unquote bad seeds of the bunch. And in that is the, what's the main, Quinn. Quinn shows up with her father, who's the only doctor that I guess they could find or hire in this small town, and she just happens to join this group that's going to get it on Founders Day. It's a tradition unlike any other, like the Masters. And so I just, there wasn't surprising, like they would introduce some of the characters, like the main kid's father. Like, of course he's going to be involved. I mean, the first time you see him, I'm like, okay, he has to be a part of it.
Even if
even if he's not the clown, he must have something to do with that fact. I mean, he must have something to do with it. Like everything it's just like those flashing arrows that are like there's no element of surprise there. And again, we talked about, I don't think really it wasn't that funny, but it also wasn't that scary. It was very uneven in that sense. And, yeah, I mean, and also the performances, I don't think they were bad necessarily, but I'll be honest, I didn't give a shit who got killed or who didn't.
Yeah.
I could not care less. Go ahead, Brittany.
No, I'm thinking about like, so this movie kind of reminded me of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which gets a bad rap. But I really like that movie, and we watch it every Halloween because it's set in Halloween, like, during Halloween.
Yeah.
And I just think about those kids acting in that movie, and it's like they're fucking working their ass off, and like you can tell, like they show emotion, they show heart, they show fear, and like this movie is like
devoid.
I don't understand the casting whatsoever.
Oh.
And I hate to shit all over this movie, but
it's just not good.
I was going to say, go ahead, Jesse. Let us know. Let us know.
I mean, again, like, it's not for me. I get that. But I appreciate that they didn't go the full gore and kill of the
I think that would have been an easy way out.
I think I would have disliked this more if they did that, because it's just it's low-hanging fruit at this point. There's only one that can really do it that way right now, I feel like, and it's spoken for. That being said, they could have just leaned into the comedy. Like, they could have just leaned into the comedy.
I think that's what I wanted I thought we were going to get, I mean, I guess I just thought we were kind of going to get a Tucker and Dale. I mean, I guess that's silly to assume because, I mean, it is different. It is based off a book. So, I mean, there is that. But I thought there would actually be some real laughs in it. Like, I think the slashing blood part of it, I get it. That's, you're not going to change that.
Sure.
But how you do it and what fills the space in between each of these, there was a lot I think you could probably get away with for a movie like this that they just didn't. And we're going to talk about the book a little bit because Brittany, you actually have read it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I mean, is the source material being like, hey, listen, no laughs here. We can't have any laughs.
No, it's pretty funny, but it's also very brutal.
See,
like some of the
well,
kills
you had said
were-
something about the way it opened, and I wish that's how the movie would have opened.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that here in a minute. The fact that all this happens in 2 days. This girl, Quinn, moves in, meets these people, supposed to be best friends with them, start this romantic relationship, and the whole entire movie is within 48 hours.
Oh.
If the acting doesn't make me believe it, that sure as hell doesn't help. The fact that there is no reason for half of this shit to happen within 2 days, and for them to act like they are the closest of, like, you would think it's Freddie Prinze and Sarah Michelle Gellar, all from I Know What You Did Last Summer, that they've lived here for years, and I can't get, it just doesn't make any sense, and it does not help with not caring, because they shouldn't even care themselves, because who is this girl? And then she just sort of becomes this leader and then starts to direct them on where to go. And I'm like, didn't you just move here?
There was that weird, like, catty moment where she, like, the main girl, Quinn, is hanging out with that guy, and then the other girl says something kind of catty to her.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then the next, like, 3 minutes, they're back to being best friends, like,
Yeah.
a part of the same plan, you know?
I hate that. And then I think the most unnecessary part of this whole movie is, come to find out, there's this deal where it looks like the two guys, Rust and the other guy,
Cole,
they hate each other because they're basically living different lives. They're on opposite sides of kind of how they grew up. Cole his dad basically is the mayor, and his family basically built this town. And then Rust is, I guess, some farm boy hick who everyone thinks is weird.
Walking around carrying
had a
deer.
great
I have to go
had a
into
great had a great scene with a stuffed deer.
Pissed me off.
And you could tell they were friends, like, when they were younger, and obviously they chose these different paths. Well, out of the blue, towards the end, come to find out they're gay and they like each other. And that didn't add a damn thing to any of this, on top of Quinn and the 2 days. And that's just so unnecessary. Like,
it felt very throwaway, and it was so.
It plays better in the book.
Does it? I believe it. I hope it does, because to all of a sudden have that little reveal at the end, and then it just seems so, like, it's not meaningful at all. Like, I think it's in there because of the movie's overall ideas, which is the only thing I appreciated about Clown in a Cornfield. But I mean, that's almost insulting to just kind of throw that in there. And the only scene to hint at it is so Quinn wouldn't have sex with Cole.
Or Cole wouldn't have sex with her.
Yeah, sorry. Cole wouldn't have sex with her.
She was throwing herself all over that man.
Yeah, within a day and a half.
Knowing it.
Well, I mean, I think even Rust's, like, introduction is kind of weird. Like, they kind of set him up to where you think certain things about him, and then it's the reveal.
He walks her to school. He's actually the first they meet. He's like, watch out, people are really weird. And I'm like, you're not? Like, what?
Because they paint him in such a weird light for that, like, millisecond.
Yeah, they, like, paint him like, oh, he's dark and mysterious, and he could be the clown. But
Right.
also,
He's just a local deer carrier.
The popular kids, we have to touch on, like, their YouTube pranksters, right? So that's, like, how they spend
want
their
clicks.
time.
They want, it's clickbait and want the views and everything.
They also might be attached to something, you know, like, weren't they being blamed for?
Oh, yeah. So they were being blamed for, you know, they
The
talk
factory
about Cole's sister dying and the factory burning down. Which
I'm
another
actually
thing.
remembering things about this.
Well, and here's the thing. But and most of that is mentioned, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Now the factory has significance, but it does. I mean, it doesn't really play out in this one.
No.
And the sister thing is, like, it's mentioned at the beginning, and then maybe once until the end.
Yeah.
When we have to lay it all out for the audience, because in case you haven't been catching up. This is what I did, and and it does get dark because of the father and son thing. But even then, I'm like, I don't even care. Like, just kill them all. I don't care. Just do it. Who cares?
And at the end of the movie, and it's the book, Rust is the best character. Like,
boy,
he really
poor guy, because he's not. He's laughable in this one.
I know he doesn't
poor
stand
guy.
out, but in the movie, I'm just like, oh, like he, he's the best one, and that's pretty sad.
Especially after knowing that what he's used for, and I think that it just makes no sense. And so you at least just either want to be scared or you want to laugh. And the fact that you can't do that,
you're like waiting to do both, but you're not fully like.
So you know what happens? Then you start dissecting everything else that's wrong with it, like these subplots and its storytelling, its pacing, all of that stuff. And it's I talked about the ideas that the movie brings. So there's basically, it's a generational war that I actually liked, but they just don't know how to execute it in that hour and 30 something minutes.
Sure.
Because there's the joke of the stick shift. Mm-hmm. There's a joke of the
rotary phone.
Rotary phone. I think the social media age versus people that, rather sit down at a coffee shop and just talk and not, the face-to-face interaction. And so, and then I think that's where that kind of gay relationship comes in. But I still don't think you need it. Mm-hmm. I think you're still trying to get your point across with these other things that, one generation either doesn't get or doesn't like. And the others, that's all they think about. That's all they want to do. Like, I get why some of those older people want to kill them. Like, I get it. I totally get it. But
God, we sound so old and crotchety.
Yeah, but I just don't like. I that's the only reason I kind of walked away and thought, you know what, they had something here. If they would have just explored it more, and I just felt like there's so much wasted time on things that it doesn't make, at least in the movie, it doesn't make a damn bit of difference.
In the movie, it feels like too much and not enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of little stories that you have to keep track of, but then not enough going all the way with certain themes.
But, and Jesse, this is to you, but even with that, like, I feel like some of those stories, like, they almost just, like, kind of put little hints in there, and then we're just like,
Yeah.
Like, we won't address those again until maybe the very end when we have to reveal, take off your clown mask.
The whole thing is just so start and stop, it feels like. Like, I feel like I remember a couple points where we watch a lot of quote-unquote bad horror that you can turn into fun movie. You've seen our letterbox.
Yeah, you do.
That we can turn into a fun time. But like you said, you're watching this and you're not getting your laughs, you're not getting your scares, so you're picking out every other little thing, and it's so easy to find those little things when you have nothing to do while you're watching this movie. I couldn't even laugh at how start and stop it was, because in the end, it just to me kind of felt like the old people wanted to have a clown themed purge, and you don't even get this is going to sound fucked up, but you don't even get the satisfaction of the actual purging. It's just fucking stop.
and again, I don't even think a cornfield is really in the movie 80% of the time. Like, I at least thought there'd be some good chases through there, but when you get maybe the beginning when they first go in, the two in the 90s, and then I guess when they come out of that party.
That's it.
So
pretty sure there's more cornfields in the cinematic masterpiece known as The Barn. Have you seen The Barn?
No, I haven't. You can tell I haven't. Never even heard of that thing. All right, so let's talk the book Clown in a Cornfield. Won the 2020 Bram Stoker's Award for Superior Achievement in a Young Adult Novel, and it was also nominated for just the Bram Stoker Award nominee. There are 2 books after this. Mm-hmm. There is Friendo Lives, which was in 2023.
Okay.
And Church of Friendo, that was done last year.
Okay.
So
I can kind of see where this is going.
okay,
On how
not
the movie
shocked.
ended and how the book ended. This makes sense to me, those two titles.
So first, and you kind of already touched on kind
A
of the
little bit.
differences in the book and stuff, but anything you want to add from the book? But I would like for you to say how the book opens, because I feel
Okay.
like that would have been a stronger opening for the movie,
Sure.
and it would have at least kind of put that in perspective when we kind of get into Cole's group in this town and
Sure.
like his father. But go ahead.
So the book opens as the prologue goes. They are all the teenagers are at a party at this reservoir, and Cole's there with his friends, and his little sister is there. Turns out she got drunk secretly, and she was jumping off this beam in the reservoir, but she died. But during her
Nice.
yeah, she drowned. Yeah, and during her death, the main mean girl, I can't think of her name now, Julie.
Is it the blonde?
Yeah, I think it's Julie. No, something like that. She
I
was
don't know.
actually recording it.
I don't have the internet, so just guess.
So yes, the main mean girl. She was actually going live on the internet.
Oh, okay.
And so his little sister's death was like aired.
Oh.
And then that started sort of the whole like Cole is a bad seed sort of, because
Got
he
it.
was on watch when his little sister died, and that's when his dad
Well, and it was
started
kind of
to
where
spiral.
he was blamed, and I think he felt
Yeah.
guilty. Again, that's not really dived into in the
No.
movie, but I feel like that would have been a stronger one than basically just some couple that's in 1991 are running in the cornfield and they get killed by a clown. I think the point of it is to show that, hey, we just didn't start doing this now. Look what we did.
Which in
But-
the book, I didn't get the sense that there was nothing that said, and maybe I read it too fast, but there was nothing that said that this was not the first time. Like,
Oh,
in
wait a
the
minute,
book,
wait a minute. Do you know how to read? Let's start
you know,
there.
Maybe I don't.
Now that you think about no, so it did have that in the book?
It did not have them as this as a tradition.
Okay.
So it just was like so like the sheriff and Cole's dad were the main people putting this together. Mainly the sheriff. He was like,
Which, by the way, is played by Will Sasso in the movie.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like really terrible. I mean, he was terrible in the movie, but like he's like the main kind of
Oh, yeah,
villain.
really evil. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that makes sense because you don't really see the dad
Yeah.
in the movie either.
Yeah, and you don't really see him in the book until the final like reveal,
Yeah.
really. I did not get the sense that this was like a tradition. It was the first time that they were deciding to kill off.
Oh, the first
these
annual?
the first annual Founders
Oh,
Day massacre of these children.
It was happening with Cole and them?
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
why when the opening happened in the movie, I was like, oh, I wasn't all the way through the book then, but I was like, oh, okay, this is like gonna be something that they do as a town.
And let me go on the record by saying, by showing me a couple run through a cornfield in 1991, the clowns killing them, and then we go to present day, that doesn't really do a whole lot for me, and because they still say it's everything they say at the end. Why wouldn't we just open with Cole's sister? Like, why wouldn't we just do? You don't have to play it out exactly like that, but again, it just feels like the things that they wanted to get across, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of it sounds great, but the execution is not. It's not there. Like you said, it's either too much, not enough. It's uneven. There's no balance in it. But like even the opening, like it's not even.
Yeah, it would have been.
I guess it's because it's clowns in a cornfield. So we're just going to go with it, and we're going to pick
sure.
1991 or whoever.
But also one of the other interesting things was two of the friends in the popular friend group were actually in on it in the book. So in the movie, I think it was the guy who
got his head
mm-hmm. chopped off or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and then the other girl, not the blonde one, but the other girl. So their characters in the book made a deal with the sheriff to live, and they were like kind of pushing the other characters along and making them make choices that would then
lead them to.
So I thought that was interesting.
I wish Eli Craig would have made a movie based off the book you read. That sounds fun.
And in the book, it is like 2 to 3 days. It's a very, very fast read, like a very, very fast story. But she doesn't fall into their crowd so easily. Her and Cole get a little friendly, but they're not like making out like at all. Like in the movie, it's just like all of us like good to go, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not shocked the book is better. I mean, it's just those creative choices that come into play, and it's like, what are we doing? But then my next question would be, is there anything else with the book that
I just wanted to say, like the ending where it's.
I should have told people there's spoiler alert for the movie and the book.
Sorry,
they'll figure it out.
So like the final, like one of the final scenes, like the party in the cornfield, in the barn or whatever, in the silo, that scene is like a war. Like they it's so much more intense and so many more different things at play there. And Rust comes in as like he's got the
hero
guns and he's like the dude like making all this.
And he does that in the movie,
happen.
but it's very like half-assed kind of.
Oh, this movie
maybe he gets a shot or two, and then it's kind of over. Like that scene isn't very long to begin with. First of all, and again, that's also the other scene with clowns in a cornfield.
Yeah. So that scene was way more enjoyable because it was insane, and like
the book, just to be clear.
And the main girl, the main mean girl, not our Quinn.
Not Quinn, but the
mean girl. Her death is fantastic. Like it's in the movie. She just got pitchforked. Pitchforked.
Pitchfork. Did you say pitchforked?
She got pitchforked.
Yeah, she had sex with who? Yeah.
But
well, that's brutal and gritty and shocking. It almost made me vomit.
In the book, she gets her head cut off.
Yeah.
And her body is still stumbling and trips over her head, and it's just like.
See, no, that's funny, sort of.
Yeah.
That would have been a big laugh if I would have seen that by then.
Yeah, and then they set the barn on fire, and there's like all these like kids who are like covered in burns, and they're like disgusting. And anyways,
I don't know what Will Sasso got paid for this movie. But I think maybe we could go back and maybe not cast him and take some of that money and put it towards like stumbling over heads.
I read they gave him the first 3 seasons of Mad TV on VHS. So that explains a lot.
Man, favors for friends.
So I think I know the answer to this question. I'm guessing you're probably up for reading the other 2 books.
I am. I have to finish the stories.
Here's my question to you both. Knowing what we know right now, just purely based on the movie, do you think that, would you be up for seeing the sequel? So let's just say Friendo Lives is the next one. Would you be up for it? Do you think this maybe we're kind of like starting at kind of a shitty point to like, oh, okay, maybe they're going to gear up for the sequel?
Mm-hmm.
I hope so.
What do you got? I mean, yeah, the bar's not that high on it, but the question is, can it? There's certainly room to improve, but are you there for Friendo Lives and the Church of Friendo if the movies ever come out? Jesse?
Let's make the obvious comparisons to, I'll just say independent horror movies and what happened with Terrifier and the success it's had. This breaking records for the production company or whatever.
Yeah, 3.6 million broke records for. Yep.
So I mean that means they have more money going into sequels.
It's gonna be a bigger budget. It's like the Terrifier movies.
Exactly.
Make me money, you get more money.
And this is the thing where like I've said it a million times since we've seen it. It wasn't for me. I'm not bummed that we watched it.
No,
it was a very lovely evening.
Yeah, it was far from the worst thing that I've ever seen. Like leaps and bounds, I've seen worse.
Like Cursed.
Like
Go ahead.
cuckoo.
Yeah, cuckoo, long legs. I can
Okay,
keep
all
going.
right. Well, I like both of those. So go ahead.
No, but I mean, I feel like I've ripped this movie to shreds.
I know, I feel bad.
And I wouldn't say I feel bad because like it's just not for me, and I get that. But sometimes you have to watch things that aren't for you.
Yeah.
But I'm also not gonna use it as a cop out. You know, like I said, maybe don't hire Will Sasso. Use that money for effects or something else. Especially if this is the same company that put out Late Night with the Devil, which I really loved. It's one of my favorite movies that I saw last year.
That was good. Yeah, that was a good one. I liked it.
So knowing all of these things and knowing what they can do with more money, yeah, I'll watch the sequels. And maybe you're right. Maybe we get the shittiest part right out of the jump, and then it's onward and upward from there. Hopefully.
Well, and I guess now that you know the characters and kind of where they stand, and like I can actually see them improving on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was just a lot. Like I said, I think there was a lot of creative choices that just for this kind of movie, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But, and again, I probably will never read the books, but I do think there is something to it where, yes, this is classified as a success no matter what. So whether it gets another 2300 screen or it's on Shudder, whatever, I don't see it not happening. But I think I would give it a chance. I mean, you know, I mean, especially if you can improve on what, like, okay, maybe we don't have to establish this anymore. Maybe time has passed. So maybe some of these things, you know, okay, we're kind of done with, right? We kind of know where some of the characters are, where they're going. So, okay, we don't have to do that now. Now you've got some more freedom. I know I'm sure we'll introduce new people or whatever, but
yeah, because everyone's
so
dead.
so there's a great opportunity there to kind of build on that. Now, I don't think it's a great kind of base for it, but okay, you know, I mean, you can't not give it another chance.
Sure.
Brittany, what do you think?
I mean,
or would you read the books first and then?
Either way,
You got time.
yeah, I have plenty of time. We were actually in Books A Million the other day, and I did find it, and I was like, oh, do I buy this now? But
The second one?
yeah,
Support your local bookstore.
yeah, I support your library.
Yeah.
So I will read the books. I will finish them. I will watch the movies. Because at the end, and we talked about this too when we finished the movie the other day, the dad he escapes.
Yeah, no, he gets in
So-
that van and drives off somewhere.
Yeah, and the sneak peek for the second book is him escaping to Cuba. And
Oh
like
shit! Is this in Cuba? Is the second movie in Cuba?
I don't know why Cuba's involved,
fucks
but
Oh God!
so
I think America's gonna buy it soon. I bet that's why. Maybe that's why.
I'm thinking that, you know, Rust and Cole are
Yeah.
like head of the town, you know. Quinn's dad's the mayor. And they're kind of like
a town rebirth.
and they're like probably protecting the town and trying to build the town back up, and then his dad comes back as Friendo, because the book's called What Friendo Lives.
Friendo lives, yes, and
So
then the Church of Friendo.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, so he comes back, but then he makes a cult.
I'll watch
Yeah.
a clown cult.
You know what
Yeah.
else is a cult nowadays? Just gonna put that out there, but
Oh my
Damn.
God.
touch all
Are you
that.
talking about WWE?
But I do think so Late Night with the Devil has a specific tone.
Sure.
And I think this movie doesn't understand what their tone should be.
Its identity is messed up.
Yes.
They got to get back on this. Like I'm sorry, but with Eli Craig, you've got to find that funny with the fear that you think you're injecting in this,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't
no, I
sound like
agree.
this table saw it.
I agree. And I like the tone and the idea of Friendo isn't just a clown, some dude dressed up as a clown. It's the old ways. It's
Yes.
the idea of people, older generations, being scared and lost
Of
about
change. Yep.
and being forgotten.
Yep.
That's what
Yep. They want the way things used to be.
Yes. So the idea of
That's-
Friendo is cool.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's not executed very well.
Right. And I
in the
hate that
movie.
it's dampened in that sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, all the pieces are there.
Yeah, no,
All of them.
yeah,
Literally on paper.
Yeah, I was going to say,
all
read
there.
read the book, and it's kind of like, oh, you know what? This has got some real like thoughts behind it and stuff that's not really covered in horror that much.
Yeah.
If at all. I don't really
Well,
know if we've
there's, you know-
if we've seen this kind of butting heads of kind of the world we live in now and the world that, some people wish, that we were back in.
And then there's the trauma of her mom dying. That's like one thing that's like it's
big
always trauma with the all. Like
I don't know if
every horror
anyone even
movie.
did. I don't even think they cared. She found her group of friends, so who gives a shit?
Yeah.
World moves fast. 2 days later.
Yeah. So I think that's when she died. She died, and they immediately just went to this kettle
Oh, there's one more
Carbonator
thing.
Springs, whatever it
Carbonator
was.
Springs.
There's one more thing in the book, and then I think I'll
Yeah,
be...
no, go ahead. After this, we're going to do our rating, and then I'm going to share what I saw on social media.
Okay. So, they moved into the old doctor's house, and he just up and disappeared is what the story was.
Oh, yeah. And that was
So-
just barely mentioned, too.
Yeah. So in the book...
Sensing a theme.
Yeah.
In the book, and I think they touch on it in the movie, the older generation, older people of the town, they have like make Kettle Springs great again, like group. That's what it's called. Like literally like Improvement Society or whatever. So the doctor joined the group, but then got kicked out because he wasn't cool about killing kids.
Yeah.
And so they kill him.
Right. Rightfully so.
And they bury him in old, dirty, rotten, rat-covered feces corn. So then, when they kidnap the new doctor, Quinn's dad, the new doctor wakes up in the old, rotten, rat-covered feces corn and finds the old doctor. And, like, this starts his whole journey of he figures out the town's evil and then trying to get back to his daughter. So that whole story was like...
Honestly, I probably won't, but I really would like... I feel like I would much rather have just read the book.
Yeah, I might go the audiobook route.
Yeah.
Audiobook could be fun.
So, I already know, but let's let the listeners know. Let's do the ratings. Let's do the thing. Brittany, kick us off, please.
I gave it a 2.5, which is, I feel like, maybe a half star more than I should have.
Middle of the road, right in the middle. I did 2, pretty sure.
2 out of 5? I think you
yeah.
did, because I did 2 out of 5. And I did 2 out of 5 because there was some stuff, a couple of kills, there was a funny scene, but the idea, the ideas that movie has, I like. I also want to hate it because it could have really capitalized on it, and it at least in the first movie it didn't.
I'm hopeful.
So yeah,
I'll say that.
Let's end on that. Actually, I don't want to end on that because I did find something that I found very funny. So this was on Twitter, and it was from RLJE Films' Twitter handle, and Shudder retweeted it, and it has Clown in a Cornfield is now in theaters, the #1 new movie in America. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to say it again.
Okay.
It is the #1 new movie in America.
Where's the catch?
Well, it's because the other 4 movies that beat it are not new. They were from a week ago, and 2 weeks ago, and 3 weeks ago.
That's another thing. Would this be...
God damn it.
Would this...
I saw that, and because I see a press release that says it broke box office records and it was 5th.
Okay.
Then 2 hours later, I saw that tweet that said the #1
get your
new
shit in.
movie in America. And I'm like, listen, if I was Shudder, I'd retweet it too.
Hell yeah.
Because most
Fuck the
people,
semantics, like.
most people will read that and think that they won the box office with that, even though it's not true. But I think it was Thunderbolts, Sinners, Minecraft, and Accountant 2. I think those were the top 4, and this was 5 because I think the only thing it opened against was a Shadow Force, which Kerry Washington's in. It's an action movie. But I saw that and I had to share it because I just thought, you know what, Clown in a Cornfield, just you do you. You do you.
What do you think about the time of year that this came out? Do you think it would have done better or worse in fall and in October when other things?
I think it
were
would have
releasing?
done better in fall.
Okay.
I think, and I say that not just solely because Halloween's October, but even if it's like late September, and because I
Perfect.
think the season's there, the atmosphere's there, drive-ins are still open.
Mhm.
I kind of feel like that's more of the mood
Mhm.
that it would be in than like May.
I think if you're gonna go for early in the year, you gotta hit that halfway to Halloween mark, and you gotta hit it like hard.
I mean, listen, it's pretty bold to release it right after Thunderbolts and before you kind of get to, I mean, as far as horror speak, I mean, there's the new Final Destination, which is going to be in IMAX and everything, and then you've got Disney stuff, Mission Impossible stuff, and I mean, it's pretty bold to kind of do it. Now, I do think some of the marketing with the Friendo tour and stuff.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Honestly, if I didn't get a chance to see it early, I would have tried my damnedest to try and see it at Stardust, because I feel like that's as good as it probably gets, even if you didn't enjoy. I think the experience would have been great, even if the movie wasn't. Not that our experience wasn't great, even though I called Wednesday Paisley. But
hey,
it was a lovely evening.
You brought Kirkland popcorn, which is fantastic.
I did, yeah.
You
Yep,
had
you're right.
Pizza Hut, because
You're right.
nobody else
You're
Pizza's
right.
the Hut.
Hell yeah. So, all right. Well, we did our ratings. We talked way more about this movie than I thought we would, but I really appreciate it. You have a shout out for your letterbox. Also, shout out for Danger Zone. Tell them where it's at.
Yeah, it's my letterbox is Brittany but spooky. We log every single thing that we watch because we're obsessed.
Your letterbox is fascinating. I don't think I'm jealous of it, but it's fascinating that you guys watch from Big Daddy to, Shit
Vampire
Creek,
Eye.
Zombie
yeah,
babies.
Yeah. So, but good for y'all.
Hey,
Listen.
So let's just say this: Clown in a Cornfield, 1,000,000 times better than Zombie Baby. Million.
But
that's not a metric anyone should go by. But
yeah.
I think
but it's also the #1 new movie in the country.
Number one new movie.
Yeah.
We're the movie.
We're the #1 video store in Mount Juliet.
Damn right.
That's right.
And I'm gonna keep pushing that too.
That's right.
Middle
That should be
Tennessee's
your
video
next.
store.
That should be your next one. Voted best new video store.
They made a.
That's it. You don't even have to
category
tell them where it
just for us.
was. Just, that's all you got to do.
God. I think my letterbox is Righteous Jesse. Same as everything for me.
Okay. Yeah. No. And then where's? Tell them where you can find Danger Zone locally here in Mount Juliet.
The store address is 11942 Lebanon Road in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Did I say that right? 11942 Lebanon Road in Mount Juliet, Tennessee.
And it's a great spot. I know Stoney visits once a week. Bi-weekly. He always comes in with a night. I was jealous that he got the 4K Civil War.
But what did you get?
I stole from him When Harry Met Sally.
That's
Blu-ray
what it was.
Because you posted it on social, and I sometimes I'll retweet or something. I'll do my recommendation. I was going to do that movie, and then I literally deleted it and messaged you instead and said how much. And so I got it, and it's a great movie. But
and you can find us on the internet at Danger Zone Video.
On Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, Facebook.
Nice. There you go. I always appreciate having you guys. I promise you, I love doing horror movies with you guys, but we probably should do different ones. But then I feel like I don't think we could ever do another horror movie service unless at least have one of you here. We missed you last time, but Jesse and I had an awesome conversation about the Terrifier ones, and I'll never see one in theaters again. Anyway, I'm Brandon Vick. You can. I'm on Twitter at Sir Brandon V. I think Sir Brandon on Letterboxd. And hope you enjoyed this busty bonus episode of the Vix Flicks podcast, talking about Clown in a Cornfield. And hey, until next time, you stay classy, moviegoers. Go.